There are a lot of great books and quotes out there that preach the importance of learning through failure. You've probably heard some variation of failure is the greatest teacher. Only those willing to fail greatly will achieve greatly. And it's not about the wins and losses, it's about the wins and lessons. And yes, learning from failure is an important step in growing and carrying those lessons forward into whatever you take on next. But what I feel like it's talked about a lot less is what to do when you're in the midst of something that is failing. When you start out with the best of intentions, you're motivated and disciplined and you have a plan, then things still take a nosedive south. So what I want to talk about with this video is what to do when you have a goal or challenge that feels like it's completely falling apart. How do you reset your thinking when the disappointment of failure starts to feel overwhelming? And how can you start righting the ship again to get back on a path to success no matter how bad things have gotten? This feels like a pretty good time for me to talk about this subject, as at the start of this year, I took on 2 goals that I thought were very specific and very achievable. One was to learn a handstand and be able to hold it for 10 seconds straight. The other was to learn the rings muscle up. And while I have made progress with both of these exercises, I have completely failed at the timelines I set for myself. So this video will probably feel a lot like ripping off a Band-Aid for me, so yep, we might as well get started. So this is a lookout point I have been coming to more and more frequently as of late. And that's because whenever I feel really stressed or things aren't going well at work, I try to get outside and go for a walk to basically clear my head until I feel just balanced enough to go back and work on whatever it was that was stressing me out in the first place. A constant challenge I'm trying to work through on these walks is my mind really likes to wander. And when things aren't going particularly well, it can wander into this really negative thought loop that's called catastrophizing. And what catastrophizing basically is a cognitive distortion in which people like myself will take a short-term failure or setback and then extrapolate onto that failure the worst possible outcome. For me, this often means when I fall behind on a video, I imagine a scenario where Cam leaves the channel only to immediately make millions selling something really stupid like organic sunglasses. I then fail at everything I take on for the rest of my life. My wife leaves me, my parents disown me, and I live out the remaining years in monotonous serfdom devoid of passion or purpose. You know, typical Tuesday thoughts. And even though I haven't completely cured my catastrophizing thought loops, I have realized what makes them so powerful to begin with. And one of the reasons is we're really bad at guessing what the future is going to be like. So what we do instead is we just take how we're feeling on the present and project it onto the future, which is a terrible way to make predictions. How you're feeling right now when you found this video and are watching it has absolutely nothing to do with how you're going to feel 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, or 2 years. And so what I try to do when I find myself going down these negative worst case scenario loops in my head is I try to just refocus my thinking on the present. How am I feeling right now? Am I sad, angry, stressed, exhausted, resentful maybe? And I know I'm talking about my feelings on the internet, which is posting cringe, so feel free to own me in the comments. But in all honesty, I have found doing this is the best way to just balance my thinking again and make problems seem a lot less intense than they actually are. Once I'm able to do this and just get in the moment of how I'm feeling, I can then address my thoughts, address my emotions, and start making constructive solutions to move forward. I think the sun's gonna come out really soon and ruin the shot, so I'm gonna head back, make some coffee, and we'll pick this up from there. So one of my favorite books, at least as far as nonfiction goes, is Grit by the psychologist Angela Duckworth. It's one of just a few books I've actually gone back and reread, and the central question the book is trying to answer is how much of our success in life is a result of our natural God-given talent, and how much is a result of our grit, which is basically our willingness to persevere through adversity and keep going when others would basically just quit. I kind of always think of this as the Shaq versus Kobe roads to success, but neither of them actually do make an appearance in the book.
One example Duckworth does use as an example of perseverance over raw talent is the novelist John Irving, author of The Cider House Rules and The World According to Garp, for which he won the Nobel Book Award. Irving was a C- English student who struggled with undiagnosed dyslexia. An assignment that would take his classmates an hour to read would often take him 2 to 3 hours. And that experience of constantly having to work twice as hard as his peers just to keep up is part of what Irving credits for his success as a writer. One reason I have confidence in writing the kind of novels I write is that I have confidence in my stamina to go over something again and again, no matter how difficult it is. I spend more time revising a novel or screenplay than I take to write the first draft. What I always admire about this quote is John Irving's willingness to just sit with something that isn't working day in and day out until every major problem is fixed and he has a book that's ready to go. This requires a mental discipline that I feel like I am constantly trying to improve in my own life, where you can be at peace with daily failures and shortcomings to the point where none of them actually deter you from continuing with the work. Even though I'm currently just working on basic calisthenic moves, I've really had to readjust my thinking to be at peace with incremental improvement week after week, understanding that the more you improve at something, the slower your progress is going to be, to the point where on some days it will feel like you are not making any improvement whatsoever. Which moves into the last thing I want to talk about. What should you do when you're actually not improving? Like, not improving at all. So, while focusing on incremental improvement at times can feel like you're not making progress, it's also possibly constantly putting in work that's more or less a dead end. This happens most often to me when I get so locked in with a single routine that I develop blinders to the mistakes I'm making along the way, or I simply don't realize I'm spending too much time focusing on the wrong things. Sometimes you can fix this by stepping away for a few days and reevaluating your approach, but whenever possible, I think one of the best things you can do is try and get outside advice from someone who knows more than you do. If there's one thing working on this channel and trying so many various challenges over the years has taught me, it's there is just so much I don't know. When I first hit my wall trying to learn the handstand, all my progress basically stopped for 3 weeks, until I finally took some videos of my attempts and sent them to my friend Rula, who's been doing handstands for years. Based on just a couple coaching notes, I quickly went from not being able to balance at all on my hands to averaging about 2 to 3 seconds with each attempt. While developing the habit of hard work and grit is important, you also have to make sure the work you're putting in is providing value and make corrections as you go. That's what I'm trying to do anyway, and hopefully in the coming weeks I will have something to share in regards to at least one of my fitness goals. Until then, that is everything I have learned about persevering through failure and finding a path forward when you're ready to quit. Cam is still working on his own videos and will probably have one out next month. He hasn't left the channel or anything to sell sunglasses. So thank you guys so much for watching. This video is a little different than the usual, so let me know what you think in the comments. Was this topic helpful or just really, really boring? Either way, please hit the like button, and if you'd like to see how I'm progressing with the handstand and rings muscle up and how long it actually does take me, please subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching.